Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun. Good morning, everybody. The 24th of July. That's a holiday here in Utah, but not for anybody else. Nobody cares. But it's Friday. Should be an interesting day. Yesterday, a real bloodbath. Nothing really too interesting happened while we were streaming, but around noon Eastern time, we just got a real bender down. Met 100% fixed target, almost to the tick. 32.14, one tick short. A little disturbing how close it was. Like, really, a little disturbing how close it was. Anyways, pretty big down move. What did the other assets do? Well, the treasuries moved up a little. It wasn't a ton, but it was 8 ticks or so. This is a decent move, but look, today we're right back down. So for now, the treasuries just can't seem to hold those levels. ZBA, of course, was quite a bit more, but again, right back down. So something is wrong with this chart. I have spread on it twice. We just need to move it into a different time series. Okay, so anyways, you can see a little bit of steepening out since then, but during that move, it flattens considerably, which is not good. Oil mostly following the risk sentiment, and gold again continues its slow move upwards, although it's kind of interesting. When the big scary happens, gold sells. They're up overall, but when the big scary happens, gold sells. So this again, indicative that people are using gold as a speculation and not as a flight to safety. Frankly, there's not anywhere that's a flight to safety. It has all been rotation in stocks. Oh, we should come over here. The dollar index still hovering around 94.66. Actually lower than it was yesterday, so that continues to move down. Little skeptical about which way to take the treasuries today. I think our opportunity might be more in the E-mini than in the treasury. Yes, that's interesting. Well, let's start up the text-to-speech here and everything. That should be good. We do have some numbers today. Let's see here. We got PMI, Manufacturing Composite Services. That's not till after the market opens, though, so we might have a slow start to the day. Zero Hedge retweets hipster trader who says, looks like a lot of these new day traders will be turning into investors after this week. Yes, probably. That move yesterday, because there was no real true flight to safety move, I have to say that this was the retail traders overextending, right? They all bought in looking for things like the Tesla earnings. And then after that, there's nothing to hold them up. And it was just like the positions just collapsed. Because, there was news flow yesterday, but there wasn't significant news flow. There wasn't something that just all of a sudden turned things and they decided to sell. It wasn't like that. It was largely positioning. And once they were into the positioning from the day before and they washed that out, these guys just puked all over the place. Mm-mm. Oh, yeah, so we were supposed to have a huge heat wave in the United States, weren't we? Well, it's been pretty hot, but it hasn't been, like, crazy or anything. Mm-mm. Let's see here. Am I missing? Let's see here. I decided to tune out ZH a long time ago. Yeah. So here's I was reading a story yesterday. I want to point something out to you guys on it was a zero hedge. The story is titled "According to Nomura, the largest pain trade in the world will hit in September." And he talks about the treasuries and he points out that there is some seasonality to treasuries in September, which is correct. When everybody comes back from vacation, you get a lot more corporate bond offerings, and that puts pressure on the treasuries. And so treasuries have a tendency to sell at the beginning of quarter four, just like they kind of have a tendency to sell a little bit at the beginning of the year. And he's kind of pointing out that it kind of becomes a pain trade at that point, because if the interest rates rise at all of these guys that are taking on crazy amounts of debt just get screwed over. And so he kind of sees a bigger sell off, I guess you could say, in September and afterwards because of all of the new bond issuance. But the reason why I want to point that out is that I think a lot of us, myself included, have kind of taken to not paying too much attention to the treasuries because there hasn't been a lot of opportunity in them. They're not moving because the Federal Reserve has basically just imposed its will on the treasury, and it's up here and it's just staying here. And there's lots of people that are long and they're just kind of chilling. Well, I think that's a mistake because they are going to matter again. At some point, the bond vigilante trade will be on. They will have vengeance, and we want to be the experts in that space. So keep paying attention to the treasuries, guys. Don't ignore them. Watch it every day. Look at what it did. Do a little bit of analysis. I think that it will matter in the future. Mm-mm. Getting quite a bit of stuff coming in here on the Twitter, but not over the news squawk. FAA issues emergency directive on Boeing 737 planes in storage. Inspectors found compromised air check valves. Says corrosion could lead to dual engine failure. Ugh. That's a little cray cray. Bradtrick Rooney retweeting Brian Gierke. The return of the 3-year Treasury futures is creating new relative value opportunities on the curve, with early trading activity focused on the short end of the curve via 3-year versus 5-year and 2-year versus 3-year spreads. Okay. Maybe we'll need to check that out later. Well, guys, it might be quiet for a while.
Uzi Knesset says so. In inventory too, what do you do with the unmatched volume? Figured I'd ask this question before the stream really gets going.
No, good question, Uzi. That's how we calculate the basis, right? We match all the volume. Everything that's unmatched, we take the volume weighted average price of that, and that's what the indicator is. Makes sense? So the unmatched volume is the orders that are, assuming that a market maker only uses limit orders, which I know is like a really big assumption, but making assumptions helps sometimes, apparently. Right? Assuming that he only uses limit orders, then those are all of the orders that are considered open positions, and then we look for the volume weighted average price of that. And that's why it ends up being a significant price, because that's where people have their positions from. I think we could take it a step further, and I think that we could say that stop orders also match, and that might give us something slightly different. I would have really liked to test that, but unfortunately, NinjaTrader doesn't have the information necessary for us to make that determination. I actually sent a message to Pete about it, but he didn't respond. Because I uncommented the output portion of the code, and I'm looking it over, and all the numbers are the same. Which output portion of the code are we talking about? Can you tell me which line? There are some parts that don't really matter. Oh, the print commands, yeah. Yep, if you comment out the print command, or are you talking about before the print command? You're talking about like what? Did you comment out line 182? Because if you commented out line 182, it's not going to give you a value. I slept super deep last night. I must have been crazy tired. I actually did fix the issue that I was having with my other version of the indicator. But then I got it to the point where I was like, you would be able to see how much volume was matched and how much was unmatched. 180 and 256. Yes. Yes. All that will do is print out some debugging information to the console. Because I was having a situation where sometimes you're doing all the matching and everything, right? And one of the things that you do is you add all this volume and you add all this volume so that you get the total that you use for your volume weighted average price, right? But which is like the number of matched orders. And sometimes that ends up being 0, especially on treasuries. Anyways, so basically sometimes we were dividing by 0. So I put that debugging information in there to figure out that that's what was happening. And then that's what creates the if statements up on line like 115 is I look at them and I say, oh, if on one side or the other there's literally only one price, then that becomes right. That just is the value for that bar, essentially. And it works. The newer version, I kind of create a more composite dictionary, I guess you could say. And so sometimes it would be like 1 and 2 on the side, and then the logic worked. But then it was still slightly different because sometimes it would be the 1 tick higher or lower. And so I changed it to match this. I was trying to sniff out a way to figure the net MM position without having asked. This whole concept is interesting, but I don't like bother. No, you should though. It's fun, Uzi. Are you kidding me? I was like, Uzi's like, okay, I have an idea. Here's what I'm trying to do. That would just make my day. I love that. Did you see this one in yesterday? Let me show you. I mean, it's really dumb. It's really dumb, but well, it wasn't dumb. I mean, he had a good question, but he was coming over here and programming. He asked a question, and he was just trying to color the bar based on if the bar low was like lower than the previous bar or something to that effect. And here was his function. Like, yeah, if low is lower than the other low. And I was like, well, first of all, is it going to be doing it on each tick or price change? And he wanted to do it like as soon as the price changed. Okay, cool. But then what if it changes back and it's no longer lower? Then you want to change it again, right? So you have to have the other thing that changes it the other way. And that was his problem. Then that fixed it. And I was like, awesome. And I was just glad that I had seen his message because sometimes I miss them over in there. But yeah, on the newer version of it, where did I take it to? I had to do a bit of funkiness to keep track of how many orders were being matched, essentially. And where is it? I'm not going to show you guys the code. Sorry. How did I have to do it? Oh, right. Because not only do you want to know how much volume was matched, but you want to know how far apart it was making the matches so that you can count how many ticks you've made. So I added that code in, which I assume works. It doesn't create any bugs or anything. But then when it came time to graph it, I ran into an interesting limitation in NinjaTrader that I think we can hack our way around, but I'm going to need a little bit more time to figure out, was that you can't have an indicator that is both draws on the price panel and draws its own panels underneath, right? Because ours, you add it on and it's supposed to draw on the price panel, right? But what we really want is we want the number of like their profit, buyer and seller profit down in here to be added on there. And then another line that would be like their average plus their profit to figure out a break-even line, which would be like the break-even line where the market makers are really losing money. I think that what'll happen, because sometimes they come back to that line and they'll bounce off of it, and sometimes they'll go through it, and that's just kind of when the tables turn. But I think that there's another line that when you go through that other line, that's when it turns into like trend day mayhem. You know what I mean? Oh, I'm not even like reading all of your.
Uzi Knesset says, yeah, you'd need a whole separate indicator.
Yep. But then the issue with a whole separate indicator is that then you're doing all of that calculation twice. So either I think that I've been reading on the forums and there's a hack where apparently you can change whether it draws on the price panel or not mid indicator so that those will draw in their own separate panels. That might work. Another thing that we might do, that we might be able to do, is create a book like a singleton. That's called a singleton, so that when the indicator starts, it looks out there to see if there's another indicator on that specific instrument and time frame that it can use instead, so that you're not doing the calculation twice. That would be really complex, though.
Trading Bick says Nakmal, Technip FMC, USA, und Advanced Micro, USA, bringen dick goen.
AMD is up big from Intel getting creamed yesterday, huh? It's the whole 7 nanometer thing is a real, like, it takes Intel a long time to switch over their processes. But this one is taking a really, really long time. And it's super bad because Intel is like behind. AMD is kicking their butts. AMD is just slaughtering them.
Vlad Stolyarov says AMD been owning Intel since Ryzen 1600. I own one.
Ryzen 1600. Yeah, I have a Ryzen. It took AMD a long time after their merger with ATI to kind of get things going again. But in the end, they won out for sure. It was one of those ones that, like, I remember during the depths of the financial crisis, it being like $1 and I thought that was a great buy at the time. And then that merger came along, and like people kind of soured on it because of the merger. And for a while, it did kind of go sideways to nowhere. But then once they finally got all that behind them, good 4 or 5 years later, they just took off.
Jeff says, how in the world do you read that Jigsaw software to trade successful? I tried to no avail. Disappointed.
That's a good question, Jeff, because I think that I myself and many people that get Jigsaw kind of misinterpret how we're supposed to be using it. So, like, what happens is we try and do technical analysis with it, and Pete, as a criticism here, he's given webinars that kind of encouraged us to do technical analysis on it. I think it's a good webinar, and that it still has some important stuff, but it kind of also led some of us down the wrong path. Because what he was saying was like, watch the DOM and you see something that you think is interesting, some sort of an aberration that you find unusual, and then go for 2 weeks and just watch that aberration and see what happens to the market before and after that. And keep stats and a sheet about it. And then after 2 weeks, then you can say, okay, based on this information, is there actually a trade there? And then you can formulate a trade. And what you often find is that the trade isn't even actually around what that aberration is. You find something else about the market that you find even more useful. Well, here's the problem with that. Just because the market is doing something now doesn't mean that it's going to do it tomorrow. Just because it followed a certain behavior now doesn't necessarily mean that it has to follow it again tomorrow. And a lot of the things that there has to be a reason for it to do it, And if the reason is fundamental to how the market works, like the way that the queue works, for instance, then you have a good edge. But those edges are basically all mined out, essentially. Like, it's too much competition for them. So then does that mean that it's not useful? No, it is useful. It's just that the usefulness is in the execution, right? The usefulness here is, if I want to go long, where should I put my order? This is the real question. So what do you guys think? If I really want to go long in the 10-year treasury, where should I put my order? Well, they just flipped right there. You see how this pulled a good amount. There's a couple hidden in there. I think that you could probably get filled at 18 right now. Right? Or should I go long all in or partially, or go long daily 15 minutes or 5 minutes? It's so don't use it necessarily to say this is the direction that we're going to be going. You're going to know that from other information. You're going to know that because there's going to be news, there's going to be certain context. Okay, there you go. You would have gotten filled at 18. Okay. Now, would you get filled at 17.5? Well, there's some volume there. They might trade into it, but that's like the low. It's going to be harder to get filled at 17.5 than it will be to get filled at 18.5 long, right? So but I'm almost certain to get filled at 18. That's where the edge is. And I know that it seems like a really trivial thing when you first think about it that way, but it is very, very important. Knowing what price you can get filled at is very, very important, especially when the market gets fast and crazy, right? You're going to know. You're going to be able to interpret the market going quickly, and all of the other retail traders are going to be like, shit, I didn't get filled. Shit, I'm not fast enough, right? That's where the edge in it is.
Vlad Stolyarov says, and once you enter, it's up to market to go somewhere, not you.
Yeah. Now another advantage to it. I want to give you an example. One of the things that's important is you kind of have to realize where their positions are from, right? So right now, we're actually hold on, sorry. I close that. Don't need that anymore. Oh, and we also don't need this one because they are the same. Cool. Hold on. So the last move we came up, we were at 20.5 or so, and then we came back down. Now the VWAP is back up there, right? So that's just kind of like a clue that, like, okay, the center of this is actually all the way up here. If we do a pullback, right? The pullback could happen all the way up to here. So if I want to go short, so let's ask the question the other way. If I want to go short, well, if I absolutely desperately wanted to get filled short, oh, well, you could hit into 18, but it looks like they might give it to you at 18.5. But there's also a really good chance that they could swing all the way back up here to 20.5. So a short there might not necessarily make a whole lot of sense, right? But you can kind of see, so once you know where the center is, then you can kind of look on this other edge and you can see where are they trying to transact. You notice that the market maker isn't really doing anything in here. He's not trying to push lower. He's not trying to make it come back up. Probably because he's short from 20.5 and he wants to take some profits here. So he is, I should say they, because there's lots of different people, are looking to transact with you in this area. Right? And then when you start watching the order flow, then you kind of get to start to see some interesting things. Like we had this exact same situation on the highs yesterday. And what was happening was that people weren't transacting with them in this area. And then when it was time to come back up, they basically had to dump their orders so that they didn't take the loss when it came back down. And you could see it. And because if you understood the situation, then it was really clear what was going on in the tape. But you can only do that if you understand how this level 2 affects where you can trade, and you understand the context of the day, right? Like why are they moving up or moving down? This is a question that I think a lot of us retail traders don't ask. Why is it moving up or moving down? Because if you don't know, you're at a significant disadvantage. Posting a bunch of stocks. I don't know if I care too much about all these little stocks because we're trading the index, really only the important ones. The Intel one is a big deal, isn't it? Because that's part of why they are so depressed. And continuation through the overnight, right? But to go back to the original question, if you're having trouble making money in Jigsaw, it's understandable, and you got to realize that the reading it itself is not everything that you need. You still have to understand what's fundamentally going on in the market. We have to understand the situation. Well, so like, and just another thing I should point out about the 10-year right now is that this 16 has kind of been an area that there's been a lot of trade at in the past. So the chances that they can push these lows is actually probably pretty high. They did trade through that 17.5. It didn't take that much, did it? So now we'll see the little game that they play at the low, right? Probably some absorption at 17.5. But again, a push down there wouldn't necessarily be weird or anything.
Uzi Knesset says with Jigsaw, I've noticed when you set that clear trades interval high, it makes untraded prices a lot more significant.
Yeah, because then you will see that how many times they traded down and nobody actually bought the other way. You can see how it makes it really obvious how people get trapped. Wow, you have about a full minute? You know, there's advantages to both for sure. There really is advantages to both for sure. Because the issue that you'll see with me is that I don't necessarily completely catch all of the volume that's trading there. I just want to know how much it took to clear it. But there's multiple ways to see that, right? Like, I kind of rely a lot more on my footprint charts to tell me if there was like more at a particular level over a long period of time or not.
Winston's mom says, weird, lol, and that's my cue. Good morning, speculator Seth. Good morning, everyone watching. And of course, here I will remind everyone to please tip our host by hitting the like button. Thanks.
Have any progress on figuring out why your machine was buffering? Why is Carl Quintilla retweeting this video of Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler and protesters watching the fire? Oh, they're retweeting when he actually got gassed. I was reading more on that story, and the thing that's kind of crazy about that one was that there's video of them coming up there and watching the people try to set fire to the courthouse and lighting fireworks and stuff. And And then he came around and he said there was no justification for, like, he was like, why would they throw tear gas? Nothing was happening. Okay. They kind of just lit a fire and you watched it. And then after he left, they declared it a riot. So it was a total, um, PR stunt. But I don't think that the larger American public is going to catch that. Um, Fortunately for the Republicans, it seems like only the radical left has really picked up on that story and cared. So,
Winston's mom says yes, my computer was
oh
not linked to
really?
the Wi-Fi.
So,
Once I entered my password, I was back in business. Ferret pun intended. A group of ferrets is called a business.
so were you using like 4G or something?
Jeff says leftist Marxists want to dismantle America. We must stop them.
Well, I don't know. There's definitely leftist Marxists that want to dismantle America. How big of a, how significant they are and how big of a problem that actually is, I can't really say. We must stop them. There's only so much that you can do, and you don't necessarily, don't interrupt your enemy when they're making a mistake. If you're a Republican, I think that the tactical thing to do is to just stay on the side of law and order and kind of let them run into the wall. Because this kind of behavior certainly didn't help the Democrat Party in 1969. I don't think it will here either. 1968, rather. Wasn't 969 wasn't an election year. Tell you what, E-Mini's pretty quiet.
Jeff says the problem is that academia has convinced many young minds America is unjust and Marxism is the way to utopia.
Maybe. When I was in school, I didn't really experience that. So you were on other
Winston's mom
people's time.
says nope, not here on in rural Tennessee, unfortunately. I was picking up some signals from the Wi-Fi but not all of them. I just picked up random weak signals until I linked this computer to my Wi-Fi.
Gotcha.
Jeff says I did. I had a communist professors. Card-carrying profs at Purdue University.
Yeah. The thing that I find really odd is that it seems like I think of that one of the main things that's happening is that kids just don't pay attention in their history class. I think that's really what it comes down to. Because they talked about all this crap when I was I took like AP European history. And, the Russian Revolution was a significant, it was like a whole quarter on that. It was a significant part of the curriculum. And we watched all these documentaries about how Stalin's secret police worked and all that sort of stuff. It was good stuff. Um, Apparently most people don't know about all that. They weren't paying attention. It's kind of I don't know what you can do about that. Pompeo, if we bend the knee now, our children's children may be at the mercy of the Chinese Communist Party. Thum, thum, thum. Oh, Trading Technologies did an interview with Futures Trader 71. That's cool. feeling a little off this morning. Like I'm just following my breathing. I'm a little too calm. I'm probably getting sleepy because nothing's happening. I don't know if the market's really going to move until these PMI numbers, though. I was thinking, I could get filled at 18, but I'm still a little concerned about how probable a move to 16 is. But I'm also a little unsure why we moved down as much as we did. So even though I think that we should come back to balance, and not only that, but they tend to just not move until the E-mini open. So I don't think that the timing is right. Yeah, I feel tired. No reason for it. It's just early and it's a slow day. Maybe I should get up and do a little bit of running around. I tell you what, though, going back to that, because we do need to bring it back to the markets. So how much of an impact will all of this have? And I think that this latest spat with the people saying, "Oh, Donald Trump, he's got brown shirts and he's using the federal government to terrorize protesters and stuff like that," I think it's going to have very little impact. So I have a number of people on my Facebook that are really uppity about it. And when I come in and I leave comments on their pages, like one of them was, you shouldn't, uh, if a bunch of people in military gear pulled you into a van, what would you do? And I was like, well, like their uniforms all say police on the back and the front in big bold letters, dude. It was like, really? And they kind of had to go back at the pictures and then they realized, oh, yes, they did. Or they were talking about the Portland mayor. And I was like, well, people were like setting the courthouse on fire. And they're like, really? And I was like, yeah, here's a video of the Portland mayor watching it happen. Like he knew what was going on. They had no clue. And so I think that over time that they're going to pick up on, it's not going to be as huge of an issue because, and if it became an issue like at the debates, Donald Trump would have a very easy defenses for it. What's going on here? Now here's another thing. Oh, hold on. I'm gonna stand up and walk around for a second, right? Right.
Chopsticks 7 Life says, I wonder if we going to go deep red today.
Well, kind of depends, right? I think that one of the things was that there was a lot of midterm traders that had positions on from Thursday and they got all screwed over. And they're probably not going to get involved in the market. So I don't know if there's more people that really want to move this. Like, are there people that need to take positions off going into the weekend? I'm not so sure. And that's kind of the thing, is that then we do have these PMI numbers. So depending on what the PMI numbers say, then you got to think about that it's a weekend. You can just see here in the treasuries, the treasuries aren't like at their highs. So they're either not expecting another risk off move, or the other dynamics that are going on in the treasuries in supply and demand are more important right now. Oh yeah. So I was gonna say, so here's an issue that you should be aware of, because I think that this is gonna play a significant role in the election, is that Obama had some plans in place that would essentially force communities to create low income housing in their communities. So it would take away the rights to have zoning laws in your city. The federal government would be able to control that, and they would basically go through and they would say, okay, in your city, there isn't anywhere that somebody in the poverty line can live. So we need to make
Winston's
a
mom
low
says,
income
did you
housing
not
for
sleep
them.
well, speculator Seth? Do you have anything sugary to feed your executive Brian?
Well, I think I slept pretty okay. I had a bagel and some eggs and some yogurt. I could go and grab some Gatorade. I keep drinking water, and maybe that's not my issue. 17 and a half, huh? Um, I guess I can go get some Gatorade. What was I saying? Oh yeah. Anyways, so Donald Trump tweeted about this yesterday. Like, Republicans have kind of already been like previewing it, but Donald Trump tweeted about it. And the basic premise here is that if Joe Biden gets elected, they are going to destroy your neighborhood. They're going to make everybody's neighborhood like Democrat City. And I think this is going to be an effective argument. People, I mean, how many NIMBYs are there out there? These Karens. They don't want anything built in their neighborhood. You know the type of person I'm talking about? And they're probably voting for Joe Biden now, but when they
Winston's mom
realize
says, do you have ducks, speculator Seth? I saw the cutest video of two ducks feasting on
ducks,
peas. It was hilarious, and if you have ducks and if you have peas, it's pretty cute watching them eat
nah,
peas.
I have chickens. I have chickens. Well, I just feel like sleeping. I'm gonna go grab some Gatorade, right?
Winston's mom says for anyone new watching, I don't regularly suggest people consume sugar, but speculator Seth has executive brain, which is a rebranding of ADHD, and this has been proven to help.
Well, you gotta have, when saying don't regularly suggest people consume sugar, so you want to have carbohydrates in the morning. You're trading, because trading, your brain consumes a lot of carbohydrates. So you should have carbohydrates in the morning if you're trading. If you're on one of those like low carbohydrate diets, like that could be a problem. But you're going to be using a lot of brain power. You need the carbohydrates in the morning. I think I should be good. Like I had a bagel. Well, I had 3/4 of a bagel. Whew.
Winston's mom says Moderna had some disappointing news on the vaccine, and the tensions with China don't help. I don't expect the market to do much today.
What was the disappointing news on the vaccine? I didn't see anything like that. Ah. So did you see that? I was not the only one thinking there that might have an opportunity to hit into 17.5 and catch the edge, and I did it, and I got it. I'm really happy with that. Of course, I'd like to see it tick up, but now the E-mini selling there, I don't necessarily see any news. Haven't heard anything from my squawk. I'm all wondering, like, are they...
Winston's mom says MarketWatch reports Arbutus will attempt to make a royalty claim to products developed by Moderna's lipid nanoparticle delivery technology. Vlad Stolyarov says typical panic morning.
Might be. I kind of wonder what's causing those moves, because that kind of movement kind of suggests news sometimes, and I'm not seeing anything on my news squawk right now. And I think Financial Juice has been really quiet, so I'm like, are they there? They were talking about earlier about Hong Kong. So far, though, it's quiet.
Winston's mom says I am reading about the Cobra effect. Are you familiar with this as regards to trading?
I've never heard of that before. Oh, you know what? While we're at it, we should... Well, I'll wait until the bottom of the hour. I have a survey. I'll give you guys the link here in a bit. As I suspected. So I was doing a survey. What's the most popular...
Winston's mom says, we believe we are at the early stage of the biggest Cobra effect in the history of economics, McDonald wrote in a post on his popular Bear Traps report blog. Jeff says drinking Death Wish coffee this morning and I am frigging amped. Exclamation mark, exclamation mark. Is this stuff legal?
Oh. When an attempted solution to a problem makes the problem worse as a type of unintended consequence. Yeah. Huh. Well, the E-mini sure is getting hit here. Had another flush. The treasuries aren't
Winston's mom says
really
basically,
responding
the
in kind
solution
yet.
is worse than the problem.
Yeah. Some market watch story here. Well, yeah, Zero Hedge has a lot of stories about this. So there was a story yesterday on Zero Hedge that I really liked,
Uzi
where the guy
Knesset
was
says we seem to
saying,
be good at that.
that because the coronavirus deaths number is so easily accessible to the public, everybody cares about it more. And there are other things that also matter that you don't get daily numbers on. And because you don't get the daily numbers on those, they get ignored. And I thought it was such a good point because it was like a lot of the analysis
Winston's mom
that
says
people are
once there
making
were
is
so many cobras in
myopic.
Delhi that there was a bounty placed on each dead one delivered to the government. At first, it worked. But then, entrepreneurs began breeding cobras.
Oh, that's
Winston's mom
right.
says for the income, and the authorities had to cancel the program. The breeders then released their snakes, whoops. And the cobra population exploded worse than ever.
I I remember hearing that. I've heard that story before. Yeah. Anyways, so is all of this money printing gonna be worse in the end? Well, there's definitely a problem here that will have to be dealt with. As to whether or not it ends up being a complete disaster in the end or not, I don't know. And how long it will be until we have to face that, I don't know. But it's definitely creating some issues.
Sunday driver says gold greater than $1,900.
Hmm. So they never decided to hit into 18, not yet. But you can see the way that the E-mini's ticking. So there's somebody with like a strong bid at
Raj Chaurasia says trade
32.1025
options.
or so, where they were pulling it out. It was 100 lots they pulled. Like, look, most levels aren't even putting 100, and they pulled 100 out. So somebody's definitely fiddling with the book over here in the E-mini. And look, it did take another lower low. This is kind of curious action ahead of the open.
Sunday driver says I think a US dollar slow crash is in the works.
It would take a lot longer for sure. Because, like I said, the dollar is coming down hard for sure, but it's high to begin with. So, I don't know.
Jeff says weak hands are long overnight. They retraced 61.8% of the move to 3,224 and impulse down twice.
Yeah.
Vlad Stolyarov says 3,218.5 had a short level 8 a.m. Someone looking to get out probably 3,200 test early.
Well, when I look at like the average, there is still a ton of volume back up at 32, 34. So, um, the sellers are really having a day. But we should be careful because if this bounces higher, that 32, 34 is a likely target. And we should know that the treasury is like, you're not getting the guys hitting into 18s yet. You're not getting the market buys into 18 still. There is a pretty good iceberg at 26 in the 5-year, though.
Sunday driver says reminder, hit the thumbs down button. Continue to hit the thumbs down until Seth brings the baby out again.
Until
Lol.
Seth brings the baby out again. He is fast asleep right now. Gold December futures now have the highest open interest and just hit an all-time high of 1930. Next stop 2000 and then 3000. Well, going to this big bet of sorts that I posted in the lobby but nobody voted on. I'm feeling pretty confident now that gold is going to hit 2000 before Tesla does. 5 minutes. There's our uptick. Didn't hold, but
Sunday driver says gold will hit $3,000 in a Biden administration.
3,000. I don't know. How do you determine that? I mean, the thing is at some point there's going to be a pushback on it. Especially, I mean, if Biden becomes president, the Republicans are definitely going to start being fiscally responsible all of a sudden again. I think that if it wasn't for Donald Trump, that they would be trying a little bit harder on that front. But that was one of the things is I think that you kind of had to accept that Donald Trump would be willing to take that on. Because that's what he's always done. And you just kind of have to. Now, if this whole crisis hadn't happened, and then let's say he did well in the election or something, and maybe they could have tried to fix it a bit, but no, there's no chance. No chance. And your best bet now would be that 2 years from now, Republicans completely take over Congress, and then they're able to make a deal with Biden that reduces the debt. That's your best bet now. Because if Donald Trump wins, but it's a divided Congress, then they're just not going to pass any bills, right? And the chances of there just being like a total wave in the off year favor of the Republicans becomes less as well. Because it's usually the party out of power that does well in the midterms.
Sunday driver says Biden will be an empty-headed POTUS. If the Senate turns blue, then Dems will run everything. Democrats will slaughter the US dollar with reparations, MMT, socialist spending.
I don't think that even the Democrats could pass reparations. No way. I think that they would probably there are some plans that Joe Biden has been pushing, like the universal child care, for instance. That would be some of the things that, like, you could go in and you could calculate the amount that he's planning on adding to the budget. We don't have to be conspiratorial about it, right? We can actually calculate, and I'm sure that somebody probably already has. It's gold taking a run. Oh wow. This last hour, the gold has definitely been moving.
Jeff says Biden is a shell of a man to be manipulated by radical leftists. I'm moving to Puerto Rico. 4% flat tax.
But then what if they make Puerto Rico a state? Won't that, then you'll have to pay the tax again. E-mini keeps heading a little lower and a little lower. I bet you that some buyers will try something, but let's see what the opening tick is, because this might be one where a lot of people just hit market sell on the open.
Sunday
Okay.
Driver says when foreigners stop by US Treasuries,
Yeah.
what then? Rates will have to move up, but the Fed won't allow it for obvious reasons. Then what? They will monetize the debt. They will have to. Game over.
Vlad Stolyarov says bearish open is good, it might trap bears and they run it up 3,225. Winston's mom says conservative politics will try to convince everyone that Biden is a leftist when he has been a moderate his entire political career. And the left side will try to convince everyone, you all are racist.
I really not so sure you can call Biden a moderate.
Vlad Stolyarov says 3,200 pivotal area for trap 3,183 test if don't pivot up. Winston's mom says most people put their pants on one leg at a time and hope for donuts before they go to work. The
Yeah.
country is relatively moderate for the most part.
If Joe Biden is a moderate, then it's only in contrast to the current far left of his party, like Bernie Sanders. I would consider Joe Biden to be your standard leftist politician, not a radical leftist, just a standard left. And that he's been with the Democrats on whatever it was that the Democrats were saying for the past, well, how long has it been? 30 years? And that means that you're going to find a lot of situations where he said things that ended up being dead wrong because he was just doing what the party wanted. And that's what you're going to find with most of these things, like what that congressional hearing where he was basically supporting the Confederate flag, right?
Sunday Driver says I think Biden has dementia and won't run anything. His cabinet and VP will run things.
RJ Wheels says he's your typical corporate Democrat. Uzi Knesset says they just need a president who won't stand in the way of the intelligence agencies that really run shit lol. RJ Wheels says MasterCard Joe. RJ Wheels says MasterCard Joe.
So,
Vlad Stolyarov says TSLA has a tail.
should I come in here and open up my make it so we can see what Tesla's doing? 'Cause I am interested. Hold on.
Sunday Driver says why hell is Biden taking so long deciding on a VP pick?
I'm gonna bet you that they actually have already decided and are just waiting for the right time to announce it, or they're close at least.
Uzi Knesset says some speculate because Biden won't actually wind up being their pick.
Now, I still hear people saying that for sure, but well, let's see who the VP is. Let's see who the VP is, right? Did you know? I watched I was watching American Secrets, and one of the episodes was about
Winston's
the
mom says
military
I think we
academy.
will see Stacey Abrams, most likely as his pick for VP. She's smart and she will carry Georgia.
I don't think so. I don't think it's going to be Stacey Abrams. That is.
Uzi Knesset says ha 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 ha.
Yeah.
Vlad Stolyarov says AAPL may be stable today and not crashing.
I'm pretty sure that one's already been, that they've already decided that one's not happening. Okay, so there's the E-mini is trading up. And they're selling 17. Flippy. Well, anyways, at the military academy, the Army military academy in the United States, there's kind of a hazing ritual of sorts that goes on with the first year cadets, which is there's this book, and the book has a lot of facts about the school, and anybody can stop you if you're a first year, you're like dressed differently, and anybody can stop you and ask you questions from this book, and then reprimand you if you don't answer the questions correctly. But they don't just ask you questions from the book; they also ask you questions from the Washington Times. Why? Why the Washington Times? Well, sorry, the news squawk is saying something. So why the Washington Times? Because the Washington Times is basically the mouthpiece for the intelligence agencies and military. So is there this thing that the intelligence community doesn't like Donald Trump and is actively trying to hurt us? Yeah, 100% it is. And all you have to do is look at what the Washington Post is posting. Washington Times or Washington Post? That's a good question. I think it's the Washington Post. I'm sitting here and I'm like, did I realize that there was a Washington Times and a Washington Post?
RJ Wheel says I'm watching NQ and can't believe how ferocious it is compared to the other instruments.
Oh yeah, dude.
Vlad Stolyarov says spy trying under lows.
That thing it's the Widowmaker, man.
Vlad Stolyarov says NQ is super fast on way down.
Sunday Driver says WAPO has long been thought to be a secret mouthpiece for the CIA.
It is. There's no question that it is. I don't know if I don't know. Maybe I should go and do some more research on this, but I'm pretty confident that it's been confirmed many times that the CIA
RJ
has
Wheel
contacts
says Sunday. Watergate is an example. Live Action says yen broke monthly high and now testing 4-month high for third time.
But that's always been the newspaper's thing.
RJ Wheel says Woodward has intelligence background.
the foreign policy,
Sunday
that's
Driver
always been
says
their thing.
Who now owns WAPO?
Yeah. Up until they got bought out, then it's kind of changed. But that's why they're in Washington, so that they know what's going on with foreign policy decisions in Washington. Just like that the Wall Street Journal is in New York, right?
RJ Wheel says CIA. RJ Wheel says and who has contract with C.
Yeah. And you know, because when they pass those stories that are leaks from the CIA, they always go to the Washington
Vlad Stolyarov
Post.
says what's wrong with gold today?
What's wrong? No, it's just taking off, man. It is taking off. They are like, okay, so Tesla did hit lower. Oh wow. I did not realize that Tesla is like opening well below yesterday's lows. Let's go back to a 5-minute chart on this one. Oh wow. I did not realize that that open was that far. Wow.
Sunday Driver says gold and silver are going to make me rich.
I don't know. Are you in the futures with it, Sunday?
RJ Wheel says NQ
no, you have
crash.
the miners.
YM not moving. Vlad Stolyarov says NQ dumps. I will look for dip buying opportunity later.
Oh, I turned it off.
Smash the bid says watch out for 195.
Yeah. Was looking for 20, maybe even 21.5.
RJ Wheel says silver and gold Sunday. Silver and gold.
But there has been some stuff there at 19.5, huh? Okay. I want to pull up gold here.
Sunday Driver says I have miners and physical. Lots of physical in the form of 1-ounce coins.
Oh. Oops. Indexes is what I wanted. There we go. And I don't need the alert or order columns.
Vlad Stolyarov says this is too much fun for Friday Open.
Sunday driver says I'm fearful that inflation is going to kill all currencies. So, I have physical gold and silver. Don't hate me.
Winston's mom says media bias reports the Washington Times has a moderate bias more to the right. Interesting. I was not familiar with this paper.
Absolutely is. Yeah, the Washington Times was bought by Rupert Murdoch, right?
Sunday driver says the question is when will the price of silver be greater than the price of Tesla stock?
Winston's mom
I
says
don't know
launched in
about that one.
1982, the Washington Times is a daily newspaper concentrating on politics and news. Based in Washington, D.C., the Washington Times was founded by a self-professed messiah. Vlad Stolyarov says AAPL broken not good.
Sunday driver says don't the Moonies own the Washington Times?
Winston's mom says Korean Sun Myung-moon, and according to its parent company, during Washington Times' 20th anniversary, Moon said, the Washington Times is responsible to let the American people know. Winston's mom says about God, and the Washington Times will become the instrument in spreading the truth about God to the world.
Well, that's interesting. So that was interesting. I know that there's kind of been a lot of liquidity there at 19.5 and some. I mean, I kind of noticed that as we were ticking around that there was some activity up there, but I'm surprised that they didn't even trade it. And now the E-mini's turning around a little bit, so.
Vlad Stolyarov says S-test pivot.
I'm not 100% sure why, but it seems to me that beyond just the risk sentiment that there's something else in the treasuries kind of pushing us down. Probably this magnet at 16. Well, there's still some guys interested in buying it in the 5-year. Now, another thing is that opening drive down broke the overnight low. So.
Sunday driver says market down. My bold prediction, 1 ounce of silver will be worth more than 1 Tesla stock.
Yeah, that's going to take a long time for that to ever happen. If it ever happens. That's not something that's going to happen next week. I had to tell you that much.
Uzi Knesset says big yikes lol.
I mean, the reason why a prediction like that kind of rubs me the wrong way is because we just do not have the ability to see far enough in the future to make a prediction like that. We just don't. Am I allowed to? Oh, I don't know. Okay, there we go.
Sunday driver says silver will climb into 3 digits, and Tesla will drop like a stone to under $100.
Vlad Stolyarov says TSLA not making any money if their stock don't go up.
I think Tesla could easily get under 1,000.
Winston's mom says Sunday driver, take silver one step further and look at industrial demand silver. I think you are onto something.
But the most silver has ever costed was $50. And Tesla is $1,400 right now. So for that to happen, it would take well over a year. Especially with Tesla. Like, guys, these people that buy it, they don't care about if they're making money or not. Okay, well, we're going to get these PMI numbers now. There is a little bit of pulling.
Vlad Stolyarov says what's wrong with BA?
With BA? Boeing? There was a story that there is some corrosion in the pipes on the planes that are sitting in storage. So now they're concerned that they'll have to dump even more money into the 747 MAX. Okay, so they are pulling for the PMIs. I think I'm okay here.
Winston's mom says, do you remember the Hunt brothers and their silver? Silver Thursday was an event that occurred in the United States silver commodity markets on Thursday, March 27, 1980.
Manufacturing 51s. spot 3. Lower than the forecast, but only slightly. Services 49 spot 6 versus 51. Oh, that's bad. So the service they were both lower than expected, but the services was a decent amount lower than expected. Okay, will they trade 19.5 this time? No.
Vlad Stolyarov says Baba looks stable if lows hold. RJ Wheels says no, but I temper J.R. Ewing getting shot 6 days before that.
I'm also getting news over the wire about EU seeks to buy potential COVID-19 vaccines at prices lower than $40. Wow, Intel is down 17% now? Well, I want to see that one. The VIX is now at 28. Well, we did see that contraction in VIX, but now at the end of the week, I think that the week it's actually is going to end up being higher in the end.
Vlad Stolyarov says INTC pattern is terrible.
Oh, jeez. 5 minutes. 5-minute trade. Oh my gosh. Woo. Oh, look at that chart. That is an ugly
Winston's
chart.
mom says RJ Wheel. Lol, everyone watched that episode. I had figured out Sue Ellen's sister did it. Her sister was played by Bing Crosby's daughter. I wonder what she's up to now.
Okay. Okay, so they did start heading lower on when the news was released, but the E-mini is recovering now.
Vlad Stolyarov says S still held trendline on daily still normal.
PMI miss. COVID spike is going to be a real drag on U.S. data now. This was a self-inflicted wound by Trump for his re-election. Tweets FX macro. I don't know. So it's interesting to me. It seems to me like that in the places where we were having an
RJ
issue.
Wheel says she's still around. I googled her the other day.
The places where there was an issue with coronavirus spikes, Florida, Arizona, it looks like it's trailing off and that it is going to go down. Now you're going to start seeing spikes in other states. And the administration
Winston's mom
seems
says, what
to
are
be...
your children saying about returning to school? Are they hoping to stay at home this year or actually go to school?
They don't say anything. They don't say anything about it. I'm not too worried about it until we're closer to it happening. But I have no qualms with sending my kids to school.
Vlad Stolyarov says S maybe form a bear flag here.
Yeah. Well, they made a good recovery there. Now the bears are making their push.
Vlad Stolyarov says this is pretty bearish for Friday open.
Okay. So I'm getting some news on the administration commenting on China closing the consulate. Sees these malign actions rather than engage in tit-for-tat retaliation with the Chengdu consulate. You're right. So stop using your consulates to spy on America and damage our intellectual property. Cool.
Sunday Driver says it's game over for the American empire. Am I the only one who sees this? Buy gold and silver.
Yep, I do. It is. I'm just sitting here and I'm like, okay, China's going to take over. Is it going to be the EU? Well, you know what? EU will be competitive. But if it's the EU, that
Vlad Stolyarov says China more productive, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, that 19 fought.
Winston's mom says the Crosby family, his first family, lived near us in Carmel. Well, I wasn't around then. My mom knew the boys and once had a date with Tab Hunter. He was gay, but she didn't know that then.
Okay. A little bit of calm now, and the Emily Gold is still pushing.
Sunday driver says calling it now. Dow less than 10,000.
Uzi Knesset says yo mom got stories for days lol. Vlad Stolyarov says if TSLA don't hold 1350 it's a world of pain.
Now we can see. Now we can see. Anyways, I was gonna say, be careful about trying to make a prediction that is well beyond what the current data is telling
Winston's mom
us.
says if I could convince just 10 people to hit the like button, we can help speculators this channel. Please take a quick second to get him to 20 likes.
Oh, 20 likes would be great. We've been getting 15 a lot lately, and it's really been helping. And we've been getting so many new subscribers, by the way. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, I highly recommend it, because if you subscribe and hit that bell icon, then you can get the notifications when we go live and stuff, and it makes it a lot easier to follow the channel and join with us every day, because we stream every day, and most of you guys are here every day, so it's really cool. But if you're new, that's the way to do it. And we've been getting like 10 subscribers every day. I'm like, what?
Vlad Stolyarov says dollar tick looks broken on TOS, it's not going to extremes today.
No. Well, so I haven't even looked at our internals yet. Let's look at the internals. Well, the tick is still kind of actually middling. It hasn't really gone to any extreme values yet, has it? But the internals, especially the up volume versus the down volume, is pretty negative. It's not quite as bad as it was like at the close of yesterday, but
Vlad
it's
Stolyarov
pretty
says yeah.
pretty negative. Okay, so some have traded into 19.5. So it was a good call on that 19.5 being a significant price, because they did
Winston's
defend
mom
it.
says Uzi Knesset my role as a boomer is to tell stories. Lol Senate Senex, turn left at the
Okay.
teepee where I sit by the fire and tell my stories. Hopefully,
Now
no one sends me
20.
floating off on an iceberg. Uzi Knesset says haha tongue out.
Sunday driver says I've been advertising this channel on Pornhub. You're welcome.
Oh, thanks. I guess I'm okay with that. Sometimes you wonder, because when you look at what's a streaming video platform that could rival
Uzi
YouTube,
Knesset
and
says
they're
drop
like
it
the
on
only
4chan
ones.
lol.
They're like the only ones that could. Oh no, 4chan. No. I've always like. Hold on. France to reinforce COVID measures on their borders. So this is another thing that I've been noticing is spooking the markets, even though people aren't talking about it. Is that France is concerned about a rise in cases now. So now people are realizing what I've been saying earlier, that just because you haven't been hit with a huge wave yet doesn't mean that you're not going to get hit. And I think that France is realizing that they're very vulnerable. But the problem is you can put it off for so long, but once the winter comes, the transmission rate is going to be a lot higher, and you're not going to be able to escape. Okay.
Sunday driver says when will this channel support BLM?
Well, I don't support political organizations in really of any kind like that. Like, I'm not going to go in and say donate to this organization or donate to this organization. But the idea that everybody is equal and that we should,
Winston's mom says Sunday
what is the
driver, are
word?
you an ENTP and MBTI? You oozne, which is extroverted intuition or creativity, and you are a troublemaker at heart. Lol.
So I absolutely support that there should be equality as it is written in the Constitution and everything. And if police are abusing power, I think that they should face the consequences when appropriate. And that's the best that you're gonna get out of me. Because I don't like to attach myself to an organization. So this just goes back to like the trading thing. You realize we have this whole industry in retail trading that is basically about following other people. Hey, I'll give you this list of stocks that you can trade today, and then they all go out and buy them. And, the guy that made the list, he's in them all first. And that's how he makes his money. Or you say, here's how I trade and you can follow me. It's all about following other people. Why, as a trader, should you be following other people? I think that's antithetical to what trading is, following other people. And this is the way that I feel about political organizations too. I'll attach myself to a party. I'm a Republican because basically you have to get anything done in politics. But I don't like attaching myself to like organizations or movement. I don't like saying, "Oh, I'm a member of the Tea." Like when it was the Tea Party, I didn't, you know, I can be friendly with them, but I don't want to be associated with them because they're not me. And then if they do something that I don't like, then all of a sudden you're attached. You're on the hook. Like no, no thanks. I'd rather just be me. You know what I mean?
Live Action says I saw a report last night cholesterol drug from 1970 fenofibrate showing promise with COVID.
Cholesterol drug from 1970. Huh.
Sunday driver says at Winston's mum lol.
Okay, well, the E-mini is kind of, after that last little dive, is consolidating pretty solidly here at 3202.
Vlad Stolyarov says up. Vlad Stolyarov says I expect reversal by 11 a.m. Vlad Stolyarov says it takes consolidation usually.
So at this point, I have to consider if I'm going to get 21 or not. Well, I think that the picture here is definitely negative.
Winston's
So,
mom says a study conducted by Professor Yaakov Namias at Hebrew University in Israel has found that an existing cholesterol drug, fenofibrate, could downgrade COVID-19 threat level to that of a common cold.
Sunday driver says I've noticed that most internet streaming nerds and YouTube channel junkies of the conservative bent are overwhelmingly INTJ.
that might be. I think that because the fundamental picture here is still relatively negative, that I'm okay to hold this.
Sunday driver says well, got a Zoom. I hate these fucking Zoom meetings.
Yeah, Zoom meetings. Like I've been having a lot of trouble getting into meetings lately. Like it never wants to work correctly the first time. The Hill. Democrats are now the riot party. They are. It's going to be so interesting to see that come up in the debates. Like, how do you defend against that in the debates? Okay, so we're going to get new home sales here at the top of the hour. So I think there's a little bit of pulling for that.
Winston's mom says happy weekending Sunday driver. I hope your Zoom meeting includes an alpaca. Uzi Knesset says lol. Uzi Knesset says I love this lady.
She's great, right? Oh, yeah, they're definitely pulling for it. Okay, 10 seconds. And we're looking new home sales month over month, 4%.
Winston's mom says Fi is smiling, thanks Uzi.
Significantly higher than
Uzi
expected.
Knesset says heart.
13.8 versus 4%. Our market doesn't seem to be reacting too hard to that, but could matter for us in treasuries here.
Uzi Knesset says speaking of homes, I gotta get on refinancing ours before it's too late.
Oh, I think now is the right time to start it because rates are just being held down. Okay, wow, they're going.
Uzi Knesset says I can get 1 to 1.25% shaved off our rate.
Huh. Okay, so when the E-mini finally realized what was going on, there was a decent amount of clicking and buying there. It actually stacked to hit some people into 19
Winston's mom
half.
says I just refinanced Uzi and my interest
Like
rate is
that?
braggable at 2.75% VA, of course. Uzi Knesset says oh snap, nice. Vlad Stolyarov says the buy programs bought all lows into panic. Vlad Stolyarov says this is normal action after lag.
No, something's wrong. So
Winston's mom says bad sentence there, I promise I did not refinance Uzi Knesset. I have no idea if he needs refinancing but I did think it was a good time to refinance the house.
I know I think that we got him when rates were like 4.25. We refinance right now because on my house I just got under 2, I think. Sorry, under 3. So it was like 2.875 or something. So if we could get a 2.875 on Uzi as well, I think that would be a good deal for us. Maybe we should talk to the loan officer on that one. You see what's happening? I think that somebody is trying to get out of their long at 19.5.
Vlad Stolyarov says now TSLA need to hold 1385 plus and we save the day.
And we saved the day. Let's see, where are they at? They're not doing too bad, 1,400. That leaves me in the money, but
Uzi
I would
Knesset
like to
says
see it
ooh I'd wet
lower.
myself. My goal is to have my monthly bills be cheap enough to afford on a bag boy's salary lol.
Yeah. Well, we signed the documents, and it'll be taking a few hundred off of our payment. I'm happy about it. Actually, if I take what I'm saving and I put back into it, I could pay the mortgage off like 10 years earlier.
Winston's mom says move to Tennessee, Uzi. It's ridiculously insanely inexpensive here compared to where I lived in Florida, on the water.
Hmm. Come on. Hit me. See, they're trying to squeeze them. Because why would they be squeezing people into 19
Vlad
half?
Stolyarov says UVXY bearish cup.
Yeah. Why would they be squeezing people into 19 half with the E-mini having just made a huge move up it back to the open? That doesn't make any sense, does it?
Uzi Knesset says oh yeah, on the water gonna be more pricey. I live inland, reasonable cost of living.
Why would you want to live on the water? Doesn't that just mean that your house is going to get swept away in the next hurricane season? So that's their most recent storm, much earlier than normal.
Smash the bid says good exit whether it goes further or not.
You think so, Smash? I think so too. I mean, I wanted to see more than 4, but I think that what's going on there at 19 fat half just seems a little too fishy for me. And when I put it in combination with what we just got from new home sales, because honestly, I mean, new home sales, it matters to the E-mini. I don't know if that's why the E-mini bought up there so quickly, because it was kind of delayed. It's going to matter more to the treasuries, and it's bearish for treasuries if new home sales are going so well. So that right there changes some of the fundamentals for me. So I've got to, doesn't necessarily mean that we have to turn back down, but it means that I got to be thinking about it. And so as soon as I see a change in the fundamentals, I start seeing this fishy behavior at 19.5 where they're trying to squeeze people into it. Yeah, that concerns. So I think, it was a good trade.
Winston's mom says when we bought waterfront property in Florida, it was around 2001 and no one had ever lost money on waterfront property before. Considered a good investment for later in life.
Really?
2006 changed all that.
Yeah, I bet. I'm like so hesitant to say that because I don't want to give anybody the impression that like I read something technical in the book there that means that we're gonna turn down at 19.5. Is just the main thing was that the new home sales was so good and it's doing something fishy. So like look, it's gone up. How much is traded there now? Let's come back to our footprint. 8,000 has traded at 19.5. You do not realize it, but they've traded their 8,000 on both sides. That is not like, oh yeah, they're looking to rev and they're going to turn the other way and go to the highs. That is not. I'm sorry, no. 8,000 is a lot.
Vlad Stolyarov says any good news will pump this market.
Okay, so I'm seeing the Chinese now respond to Washington, saying this is a legitimate and necessary response to the unilateral provocative move by the U.S. to demand the closure of Chinese consulate general in Houston. Bullshit. It was not a unilateral move. They closed it because you were using it to spy. Ugh. Okay. China just informed the U.S. side of its decision to withdraw its consent for the establishment and operation of the U.S. consulate in Chengdu. The U.S. consulate general in Chengdu must cease all operations and events as required. Why Chengdu? Am I saying that right? I don't think that the D is as so hard in Chinese. Yeah, see, and they're back at the open. Like them being at the open too has me a little nervous. Because there's definitely some positions all the way up to 32, 35. Like they never really gave that back. And there's some positioning at 32.13. So, and look, now 19 is weak. Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly what I was worried about. Okay, well, Tesla's recovering that fairly nicely. Of course, it's still down on the day. I don't remember what I paid for those puts. I'm not going to open it up. I don't want to have all of these out. But... And look at... the gold is just... It's right back up there at its highs. They're going to go higher. So isn't it so interesting that it's like, I think what's happening in gold is it's like there's all these people that they've got some money and they want to stock trade, but they're bearish on the markets in general. They don't want to trade the E-mini because they think that it's all smoke and mirrors. So they're coming over here like Sunday and they're speculating in gold instead. And you notice that when it's risk on, they're all in gold instead of when they could be in the E-mini and vice versa. And then when the E-mini drops, the gold drops. It's like it's not a flight to safety asset. It's so funny. It's so funny because these guys are trading gold because it's supposed to be a flight to safety asset, but it's not. It's a speculation vehicle. Treasuries are a flight to safety asset. Get 18. Major talk now around a second wave in Spain after cases skyrocketed this week. So far, regions dealing with it, no sign of major lockdown by national government. New cases show a changing pattern. Patients are on average 20 years younger versus those infected in March. Tweets Maria Tadeo retweeted by LifeScore.
Vlad Stolyarov says any good news will pump this market. Vlad Stolyarov says that 3,200 reject is pivotal. Live Action says I was thinking the so-so PMI number would get the best price for a long before expected good homes hash. Vlad Stolyarov says yeah. Smash the bid says I'll take a bow. Smiley face. Gary Rich says my 160-2021-2022 GLD calls looking pretty good.
Are they in the money
Uzi
right now?
Knesset says damn bro, I shorted 181.03 and bailed on it for 2 ticks before the news. Shit kicker extraordinaire.
Really?
Vlad Stolyarov says don't short anything.
I'm surprised that you shorted it before the news, though. You shorted it expecting the bounce, huh? See, that trade...
Uzi Knesset says yeah, right at the buyer's cost basis tongue out.
I don't know about that one. Before the news, no. After the news, good trade. But before the news, if they could have just turned...
Vlad Stolyarov says 1903 gold was short.
If new home sales had ended up being bad, then I think that we would probably be like pushing the highs right now in the treasuries, you know? But it is a spot, is it not? And it's kind of funny how we can almost tell. It's almost been too... I'm sure that it's going to change. We got to be really
Uzi
careful
Knesset
about
says
reading too much
why
into
I'm a
this.
dingle. Stop was only 2 ticks though and the pull wasn't bad so I figured screw it.
Okay. Well, hey. You made 2 ticks. You made 2 ticks, right? Ugh. No, I'm doing this and I'm like, it's too easy. It's going to change. And I'm going to start screwing up. Like, it's there in the back of my mind. I could just know.
Winston's mom says Gary Rich, good morning how are you and Border Collie?
By the way, for the whole thing about with Gary Rich and the VIX, it looks like... So, I was saying that VIX is likely to contract. And for the first 4 days, well, let's say 3.5 days, I was totally correct. But there has definitely been this sort of a thing where it's like, are people too complacent? And now, second half of yesterday and today, VIX is much higher.
Uzi Knesset says I wouldn't say it's too easy per se. I mean, I got whipsawed the other day mad hard trading it so, you can sure as shit get shellacked lol.
Well, I'm also wondering if maybe part of the reason why it seems so easy is because there's just not a lot of people trading the treasury right now. But anyways, hey, so we got a bunch of people watching. I want to talk about something else. Just while I'm thinking about it, have a survey. If you guys haven't taken the survey, I would really appreciate it if you would give it a look. I'll post it here in the channel, in the YouTube.
Gary Rich says at MOM great how are you? Live Action says the yen broke that third test of 4-month high today, pretty strong move. Winston's mom says dingle, I will seek out a face, a composed, a monumental face, and will endow it with omniscience, and wear it under my dress like a talisman and then, I promise this. Winston's mom says I will find some dingle in a wood where I can display my assortment of strange, valuable objects. I promise myself this, so I will not cry. Virginia Woolf, The Waves, Virginia Woolf, The Waves.
Okay, so anyways,
Vlad
I made.
Stolyarov says we require more Vespine gas.
Okay.
Winston's mom says terrific Gary Rich, we have a rainy day. I have a Mika ferret to play with and life is lovely and quiet.
You know, I didn't have anything more to say about it. There's a survey. Take the survey if you haven't taken the survey.
Uzi Knesset says you must construct additional pylons.
I've had 19 responses so far. If I could get 1,000 responses, that would be perfect. So far,
Sunday
the
Driver says,
results
"Will
are
that
about what I
survey dox me?"
expect. No, you can enter your contact information if you would like, but you don't have to. That's an optional field. It doesn't require your email. 6 people actually put in guessing as that they incorporate guessing into their strategy. That's going to be an interesting control question. Because you notice that actually there's only 5 that said that it definitely does not work. It's interesting to me that Elliott wave
RJ Wheel
analysis.
says where is the survey?
So I just stuck it there. I'll give it to you guys again because you said so much that
Winston's
it's
mom
already
says
passed.
I will take the survey and leave a comment when you upload this video with a timestamp to mark the comments. Speculator Seth Day Trading says
That day trading survey about which strategies you use.
RJ Wheel says oh okay.
Yes. It's interesting to me though that Elliott wave analysis is the far and away winner on it doesn't work. Everything else is kind of so far.
Gary
Nobody's
Rich says
said
all my
that
trades
would
come
work.
from my
It
border
doesn't.
collie.
That's funny.
She is the smartest dog on the planet.
Actually, that's pretty high on fundamental analysis too. So far, well, most of our people are futures traders. On Monday, I'll go and post in the day trading subreddit so that we get more equities traders. The 5 of us that trade interest, it really is like that right now, right? That's like the 5 guys of us that really pay attention to interest rates in the Discord channel. It's got to be what that is. Oh, and this is kind of evened out a little bit. So you got quite a bit more doing the 5 to 10 trades now. But this is the one that I find. So when I start getting down into some of these ones down here, I start to think like, So 8 people, the majority, 42%, claim that their win rate is between 50 and 60%. And payoff ratio is kind of all around the place. But it looks like the majority of you guys are above 1. There's a couple that are
Winston's
below
mom says I think Mika Ferret is seeing herself in my full-length mirror. I know Winston Ferret would watch TV but she is my first to actually look at the mirror and appear to be seeing herself or another.
There's a couple of you guys that are saying that your average winner is 100 times your average loser, which is I doubt it, but okay. How much? 2 to 5 years. That's good. It means that our community is pretty experienced. Because probably about half of this is our Discord, and you guys, and then the other half is one of the Facebook groups for futures trading. How many accounts have you blown? 0. Sure, guys.
Sunday Driver says you didn't have 0 as an option for number of trades per day.
I think that would be 1 to 5. I just put 1 to 5. Because in a day, maybe you take 1 trade. Do you consider yourself profitable? 50% say I am profitable. Well, statistics I'll say otherwise.
Live Action says check out that link I sent earlier today compares win percents to blowing account.
Wait, did you send it here in YouTube? Hold on. Can you let me give you permission? Can you post it here in YouTube again?
Live Action says here today okay. Gary Rich says payoff ratios are good metrics. Now figure
Yeah.
out how much you make per hour with time spent trading. Add research? That's a real analysis.
Sunday
Why
Driver says
in
I went
terms of how
heavy into
much money you
silver
make?
and gold miners about 3 years ago. I haven't made a trade since, except to buy more on occasion.
Live Action says.
Okay. And this was... Oh, there's a risk of ruin calculator. That's cool. Compares win percents. Oh, right. Yeah. Seen this. Probability of X consecutive losing trades.
Winston's mom says Gary Rich, you like music. Have you watched Jamal underscore aka underscore Jamal review music? He does music from my generation, which is nice because I didn't listen to rock and am catching up now.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I've seen that before because I was trying to make a point to somebody about one of the disadvantages to a high win rate strategy, and one of the problems is that if you take a drawdown, it's going to be bigger because your losers are larger. Now, the caveat to that is that the chances of with a high win rate, the chances of that are happening are much lower. But it kind of turns into like, yeah, but then if you're trading 80% and then all of a sudden, and so you can handle, mm, well, let's say that you can handle two consecutive losing trades and then it comes down. Nah, it wouldn't be like that. Say that you're like 80%, you can handle three, and then, of course, you probably would be able to handle more than three. I bet you that most people would probably be good up to 10. But I digress. There's a definitely, I've seen it so many times where it's just like all of a sudden one day, strategy just completely falls apart.
Winston's mom says Gary Rich, you like music. Have you watched Jamal underscore aka underscore Jamal review music? He does music from my generation, which is nice because I didn't listen to rock and am catching up now.
Anyways, on the survey, here it is like, how much are you making? And like most people, only a few people, only like 3 people actually put a negative number in there for that. So people are liars, but that's okay. Two years, and then these guys are starting to post stuff. So we should be able to go in and look at these guys that are saying that they get like that they're doing really well, and see what they're trading and so forth. Because what I would like to be able to do is to say, people that trade this method tend to do well, or what percentage of people that trade this method do well, or whatever the thing is. But the other thing that I expect to be able to come in and say is day traders don't use news and they don't use fundamental analysis, and maybe they should. That's the other thing that I'm think I might be able to get out of this. But let's let the data speak for itself first.
Gary Rich says just run your hourly rate on trades and overall money made. It might shock you.
Oh yeah, like the amount of money per hour that you're making for most people is probably stupid. For sure.
Live Action says agree.
Sunday Driver says in this market, how can you have lost money? Unless you're a day trader. Buy and hold has been the winning move. At least for me. I find a move that's coming, get ahead of it, and wait.
Well, even if you're day trading, you're probably making money. But that's why I was like, okay, so what about this year
Tenzin
and what
Norbu
about
says
the
that's
past
why I don't
5
do
years?
surveys. BC the ego tricks us to lie to ourselves, not only to you.
Right? People are definitely lying to themselves. It's either that or the majority of traders that don't do very well haven't come out of the woodwork yet. But I'm going to bet that most people are going to find a way to justify that they
Vlad
made money.
Stolyarov says thinking of scalping a short here.
Well, they come back to a spot that is important on the E-mini. They could still move up to the 3238, but given the fundamental picture, I still think that that's relatively unlikely. The new home sales did cause an inflection in the
Vlad
market, but I
Stolyarov
don't know
says
if that's enough to,
3,216.
I don't know if that's enough to just keep going. So
Vlad Stolyarov says 3,218 plus cover.
then the other thing is that I suspected that price action was the most popular, and it definitely is. It definitely is. And I don't think that it works. No, I don't know. To be honest, I've never taken any of those courses. I don't know it very well. If you guys have a free source for it to help me understand what it is a little bit better, then that would probably help. But um, I honestly, if you ask me, almost all of this stuff is like it doesn't matter. Like chart patterns, technical indicators. It's kind of like getting some coronavirus numbers. Gold sitting at 1900 now. Okay, so Florida cases rise 3.2% versus the 7-day average of 3.1. For Friday, that's good. Hey, the Florida cases have been good this week, guys. They have been. Let's see here. Oh, Donald Trump. I spoke to highly respected Chairman Senator Jim In Ho, who informed me that he will not be changing the names of our great military bases and forts places from which we won 2 world wars. Like me, Jim is not a believer in cancel culture. Ian Shepardon says, I really don't understand why anyone is surprised at the strength of new home sales. Yeah. I think that the new home sales being strong makes sense, to be honest. That's why when it happened, I wasn't 100% sure if it was just like oh, I need to get out. You know, it was kind of enough to make me wonder. And then the Dom told me, yes, you should get out. And hey, we made the right choice. Anyways, so I gave you guys the link for the survey. You take the survey, but then more importantly, share the link around if you can. So I'm gonna try and posting it on Reddit on Monday around the market close. See if we can get more equity traders on it. I'm just thinking about what we did today, and it was one trade. Oh no, wait, we took 2 trades.
Gary Rich says,
No, that's not right. Refresh. There we go. One trade. We've been getting a lot of 4 ticks, nothing against us lately. Isn't that crazy? And we know exactly where to get out too. That's when it becomes like, so cool. Oops. I clicked that link from Gary and it didn't open in a new window. It changed that window. Do or do not. There is no try.
Vlad Stolyarov says covered.
That was your long. Or no, you went short. You went short, huh? Oh, well, they're turning back down again. And look, they're back at 19.5 now in the treasury. Maybe this time they poke through.
Winston's mom says a pirate walks into a bar with a ship steering wheel attached below his belt. The bartender asks him what is he doing with that, and he replies, I dunno, but it's driving me nuts.
What? What? Look at this. I called cells again. That's so fun. That's so funny, guys. They need more liquidity in gold, man. Okay, well, Eamon is trying to stop and create a pivot here. I don't think that's going to take more than that. But
Sunday Driver says they are trying to keep gold under 1900. Won't work. Will eventually move higher with strength.
I don't think it's just that. I think that there's people that I think that. Oh, go ahead.
Live Action says exiting home sales beat prior substantially wed reason for my expectation of new home sale beat this and looking long off so PMI.
Sunday Driver says USD index down again.
Yeah, that's a pretty good downturn that they're having. They haven't moved up from the 19.5 in the treasury yet. I think that what happens is the hedge funds are long in gold, and then when they start losing money in the E-mini, they have to sell some of their gold to raise funds. I think that's what's happening. So it is profit taking.
Vlad Stolyarov says covered way early lol. Vlad Stolyarov says they grinding up so good. Vlad Stolyarov says had to short that bull rally was too early.
You think it's too early? Well, we're in the counter trend period. The end of this here in 10 minutes might be a buy. Let's just see.
Gary Rich says look at an hourly chart, go back days. You will find a pattern when they rotate through and smash the previous ranges. Look at the times also. It's right there in the chart.
There are definitely times of the day where they make moves. The way this whole thing tends to play out in the counter trend period being really probably the best example, but not necessarily the best trade. I was reading through this thing on Twitter because I posted there was a pretty good thread from on one of Zero Hedge's tweets and some good comments, and I think I made an okay comment and a couple of people responded to it and learned some stuff and everything, but I didn't get any followers off of it. I was like, ah. I guess doing some good and helping people understand the markets better is its own reward. New York Fed purchases $8 billion in Treasury coupons.
Vlad Stolyarov says while S slow. Vlad Stolyarov says NQ still super fast moving.
Well,
Live
the
Action
NQ
says
always
price
moves
action
fast.
does work if looked at similar to your ladder.
So here's so I have two issues with price action. Here is my case against price action. Number one, the most popular price action educator is full of shit. That's number one. He has absolutely no evidence that he's traded or that he's made any money on it. And he absolutely can provide it, and he refuses to do it. And when you look at what he says and how he, like in his room and everything, is just a bunch of mumbo nothing. This is total. And like they did a review on him on
Gary Rich says
sucktradingschools.org
the
that I think
Amini
is
is
really
making
good.
higher lows since July 22nd 2300, a downtrend channel. Vlad Stolyarov says my conspiracy as market maker makes the bids and asks the way in his favor to fill every own.
Oh, sure. Let me finish this first thought first. Anyways, so that's my first problem with it. My second problem with it is that people can interpret price action to mean almost anything that they want, right? It in reality, price action kind of becomes like just a chart formation, but it's kind of more like on a certain candle. But they're basically saying you're waiting for a situation where one side or the other shows evidence that they're much stronger than the other and that they're breaking out. And that's price action. But people, when they hear price action, they can interpret it a bunch of different ways. And there might be a lot of people that say, oh yeah, I use price action, have never read any of the course materials on that, you know? So that's my case against price action. Now, to Vlad's comment that my conspiracy as a market maker makes bids and asks the way in his favor to fill everyone. This guy's in the 10-year. They have complete control over which one of these is lower. I mean, there can be multiple market makers and they can fight with each other and every, but hold on. There's just more of this stuff on the China consulates and it doesn't really matter. Florida new coronavirus 19 daily hospitalizations hit record 581. Ew. It's ugly. Chinese researcher at San Francisco consulate in custody. Anyways, they have control over not only which side, because they can basically just say, I don't want to put any liquidity there and I'll put it there. And then they can choose to pull their liquidity there and make it tick down. And they can also choose to, pull all of my orders and hit into it. So they have a lot of control for sure. That's why when we had that action at 19.5, it was kind of like, okay, why would this be stacking here? Doesn't make any sense. It contradicts what the news just said. So that's clearly somebody that's trying to get out. He's stacking it to try and force people to buy into 19.5 so they can sell it. I don't know if that's what's happening now. Now it seems kind of weird that there's this going on, but they might churn up now. How are you doing, Ace?
Vlad Stolyarov says they can just pull the bid, yeah.
Yep.
Vlad Stolyarov says like on dump here. Vlad Stolyarov says I couldn't predict it ahead of time, they would touch all the way 3,200, otherwise I would have held my short. Vlad Stolyarov says covered halfway before. Ace Trades says good, it was a good morning in the room.
Good job. By the way, Ace, I'll give it to you again. I post it to you guys here again. I have a survey. I have a little survey. So if you could pass that link around. Well, I posted it in the group too, but make sure you pass that group around. Get as many
Speculator
people
Seth
to
Day
take the
Trading
survey as
says.
possible. We've had 20 people take it so far, I think. Oh, no, not half the. Oh, here it is. Yeah, we've got 20 responses so far. I would like 1,000 responses. So
Ace Trades says I did your survey on Facebook.
wow. So just like on Monday, give the link to the guys in your other room. But I'll show you what it says so far. Oh, look, most people use price action. Isn't that interesting? Only one person Wyckoff method. Was that you, Rich? Or was that somebody else?
Ace Trades says okay, sounds good. Gary Rich says market makers just transact for liquidity, of course they make money. The participants are pulling orders. Vlad Stolyarov says I watched Interactive Brokers CNBC interview and he said most positions were in FANG stocks and TSLA and he was laughing how retail were both super heavy positions long and short arm wrestling TSLA.
Yeah.
Ace Trades says 1896 called. They want their Wyckoff method back.
Right. No, it's the way that the whole retail thing fell apart yesterday was kind of funny. It was. I would really like to see Tesla down more like 1,200, but I don't know if it's going to happen today. Apparently, the buyers aren't bailing. Maybe they will towards the close. Maybe they did bail, and that was all we get. Market makers just transact for liquidity. Of course, they make money. The participants are pulling under. Yeah, I should be a little more careful about the way that I use the term market maker too, right? Goldman Sachs can mess with the bid and the offer and fiddle around, and they do things to try
Vlad
and get
Stolyarov
filled.
says for a Friday morning I am happy.
Good deal. So I specifically remember when I talked to the traders, and that one time that I really got to see what they were doing. And there was a team of them, and one of the things that they would do is that some people were absorbing contracts, and there was another guy one guy in particular that his job was just to make it tick up.
Ace Trades says your link goes to a video, not a survey.
Oh, wait, that's the wrong link. I'm sorry. That was the video that Gary posted to me earlier, and I thought that my survey was still in my so dumb. Here, it's this one right here. There's the link. There's the link for the survey.
Speculator Seth Day Trading says. Gary Rich says if TSLA gets into S&P 500, managers will be forced to buy it. It will add 1% to VIX volatility. Yes, thank you, TSLA.
Yeah. Now, I have a crazy theory about Tesla in the index, okay? The S&P 500, they're going to get together.
Says taking survey now.
They're going to get together and they're going to be like, well, we don't like that the only reason they had positive earnings was because of these tax credits, something that's expiring soon. And so we don't think that we should add it into the index yet. And so all of these people are expecting it to go up from that, and then in September they don't do it. That would be hilarious. And I actually think that it's a higher percent chance than people. It's probably not likely, but I bet you it's more likely than we would think. Like maybe we think that there's like a 1% chance of that happening, and I bet you that it's more like a 40% chance that happens. And retail definitely got dumped on yesterday for that, right?
Sunday Driver says 50% haircut for Tesla when S&P says, nah, baby, nah.
Anyways, it would add 1% to VIX volatility. That would be interesting. It really, the way that you look at the volume and everything else on the move yesterday, it was a retail jump, man. It was all those retail guys that bought Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm telling you, it just that there was no flight to safety. There's just rotation in the stocks. When you look at like the volume in the E-mini and everything like that, there wasn't like insane absorption at the bottom or anything like that. It was totally a retail driven move, I think. Well, not totally, but I think that it was one of the key driving factors in the move yesterday. And there wasn't like significant news or anything like that. Yeah, they just got puked on.
Sunday Driver says when S&P says nah baby nah, and with dollar imploding, silver will be that much closer to crossing higher than Tesla stock.
Yeah, probably not. Like, you got to realize.
Smash the Bid says that survey really means nothing, Seth, unless everyone participating is trading objectively. Nobody can mimic a subjective trader or know if they will be profitable in the long term.
Well, so Smash the Bid, the main purpose of the survey is just to see which trading methods are actually the most popular. That's the main goal. Now, I do want to see if there are certain groups styles of trading that claim to be more profitable, but so far the results from this that I'm getting says that people lie.
Winston's mom says good morning, Ace Trades, and how the heck are you? Ready for the weekend?
But that's not the point of it.
Vlad Stolyarov says my conspiracy revolves around open positions. If retail closes a closer believing the stock is going to zero, it reverses while shorts help to fuel rally.
Sure.
Ace Trades says at Winston's mom, howdy. So happy to see you, my dear.
So this is where you got to be careful about where you take your trades, because if it's just in kind of like a rangy, no reason for price to move kind of reason, and maybe the overall momentum and fundamentals are down, but there's no reason for it to move immediately, and the market maker will be like, well, I can afford to push it up like 3 ticks and stop everybody out and then absorb at the top and then let it come back down, right? So you don't want to be in that situation, right? You want to be in a situation where the market maker would have to be a complete moron to try and pull that sort of thing on you. Of course, sometimes it will just happen, but yeah, the whole thing is I want to go as, I believe that it's going to go in a certain direction based off of X, Y, and Z, and try and convince everybody else that that's not what it's going to do. That's why I say that the whole retail trading industry, well, not the whole. I mean, there are a few people, but the majority of traders are working off of this assumption that the way to win is to follow other people, and it's not. The only way that works is if you're first. And this thing that we're talking about with the book is the great example. Is like, if you're always following the big fish, it's every once in a while the big fish will just turn around and eat you. There's nothing else to eat. You know what I mean, B?
Smash the Bid says haha yeah, people lie. Ace Trades says at Smash the Bid I never ever lie. And yes, that is a lie. Vlad Stolyarov says I honestly expected a range day and that lunch drop threw me off.
Mm.
Vlad Stolyarov says yesterday. Uzi Knesset says be first, be smarter, or cheat winking face. Vlad Stolyarov says yeah, buy the guru course, follow his chat.
I think I have a good little video to make on that point, but I'm not sure if that's the next video that I want to make. I think that because we hit 3,000, that the next video I should make should be about the DOM. So, anyways. Where were we gonna? Oh yeah, back to Smash the Bid. Haha, yeah, people lie. Because, like, honestly, when I look at this, you should be able to see the results too, but there's two things. One is that people say their typical win rate is above 50%. I think that that's a lie. But then slightly, there shouldn't be 47% of people saying that they are profitable. And look, most people are saying I'm mostly break even.
Ace Trades says don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that bell so God won't kill a kitten. Smash the Bid says I don't believe it at ACE Trades. I know you're a saint.
Freaking, oh my gosh. That.
Gary Rich says I lie all the time to women. Yes dear, your butt looks good. Yes dear, that woman is not hot. Yes, I enjoy your friends. No, you are not gaining weight. Get my drift.
There we go. This freaking picture.
Sunday
man.
Driver says I never lie. I like rubbing the truth in people's faces. So much fun watching SJW types cringe and cry.
Hit like and subscribe now.
Ace Trades says at Smash the Bid I'm telling you, I don't lie. Ever, never, not once. Spoiler, I do.
No, well, there is a potential alternative explanation, and that is that the majority of the people that have filled out
Winston's
the survey
mom
come
says,
from our
get my
room.
drift. Gary Rich, yes, and I get that you are smart. Lol.
The other explanation is that most of the people come from our room, and most of our traders are good and successful traders. That's another alternative explanation. So I was keep saying, oh, I don't think that my room is like going to be any different from the stats, but from what you guys show me and the calls that I see people make in Discord and the way that you're answering, because some of these are like, woo, like look at this, man. There's one guy that says that in the past 5 years he has made $1,820,000. The first person to fill out the survey in our chat was like was this $450,000 guy. I was like, whoa. And I think that they put in that they traded price action. That was like the first response. I was like, what? Really? Isn't that crazy? And then I'm sitting over here saying, well, price action is the most popular thing, and I don't think it works. But then there's the people that are saying they make a ton of money from doing it. So I don't know. It's kind of interesting.
Ace Trades says at Winston's mom, so tell me, how are you doing? Ace Trades says, and he may have.
Sunday
maybe
Driver
he might
says, I
have.
have never been comfortable following the crowds. I hate crowds. I'm not happy buying popular stocks. I look at what's happening, and get in front of the idiots and watch them all come to me.
Yeah, I don't think you want to follow the crowd. You want to be ahead of the crowd. Totally. It says I'm going to make a video. Probably not this week. Maybe the next video after that. I think that the next video I should make should be about the DOM and trading in fast action. I think that that's the most important thing that I need on the channel right now. But then after that, the biggest lie in trading. The biggest lie that you should follow other people. Because most of the retail day trading strategies that you see out there are based on following other people. They're about saying you're detecting big movers in the market and seeing what they're going to do. And that's what it all says. And I don't think that you want to do that. So it really truly is the biggest lie in markets. And then the next one after
Ace
that.
Trades says, so the trend is not my friend.
No, I don't think it is. Until it ends. Because the problem is by the time you have enough data to confirm that it is a trend, it's too late. And then we'll make one about the survey. And that one will probably be like, these are the most popular trading methods. Maybe you shouldn't use them because they're popular. That's my take. Look at this. Nobody said that price action doesn't work. I haven't taken the survey. I think price action doesn't work. The problem with price action is people can define it to be whatever they want. It's not as clearly defined as some of these other ones.
Winston's mom says, very good. Ace Trades, I confess this virus situation works for me. I like knowing I have to social distance, have an excuse not to go out and about and or spend any extra money. Stephen Wright says, yeah, I didn't know how to define price action, so didn't click it.
That's the right way to do it, Stephen.
Ace Trades says, at Winston's mom, same here. It's a great excuse to be an introvert.
See, here's the thing is that here was the evolution of all of this, okay? In the beginning, there was chart patterns. And people started trading off of chart patterns, and maybe it worked back then, I don't know. But people kind of had trouble with chart patterns because it didn't actually always work out, and they weren't as reliable as they thought. So then came along Mr. RSI, Wilder. Wilder came along, and he basically was doing statistical analysis on the price series itself. And because we were now having computers and everything else like that, technical indicators were born. And so we had this explosion, MACD, RSI, stochastics, all of these things. Okay, and there's a couple of people that were in that wave, but I think Wilder's probably the most significant one. Somebody's calling me. Who would call me at this time? Nobody that I know. And Granville is before Wilder. That could be. I just mentioned Wilder because he's the most recognizable name. Anyways, and then probably the next big guy after that is going to be Euler. But Euler basically just found ways to take the noise out of what we were doing, out of what people were doing, right? Okay, but they had all these indicators, and still a lot of traders were losing money. And so people started to say, well, maybe technical analysis doesn't work. And because technical analysis was primarily thought of as chart patterns, okay, and not the technical indicators, it kind of turned into, are you using a chart or not? Or how are you using a chart? So if you were coming up with a new course and you wanted to market it, you didn't necessarily want to call it technical analysis anymore. It needed to be something different. Tesla's taken a pretty good rise here off of this move up in the E-mini. So what do? And thus comes in price action. So price action is 100% chart patterns. It is, okay, here we're looking at each individual bars and we're finding that there's a rough equilibrium, but then all of a sudden in one spot there's a place where one side has an advantage over the other, and you try and jump on board that and take advantage of it. And that's price action. It's a momentum strategy. You're basically following other people. It's still technical analysis. But the key thing is that they didn't market it as technical analysis. They called it price action. Okay. Well, they started to do very, very well. And the price action guys are some of the most recognizable educators in the retail trading industry. And you can see from our surveys so far that it is the most important, or not the most important, the most popular trading strategy. But then what happened is that other people would hear the term price action and they were just thinking, okay, well, so we're just talking about how the price is moving back and forth, essentially. Okay. So now you have a lot of people that have never taken any of those courses and don't really have like the formal training on price action, and are trading what they believe is price action, even though really what they're doing is they're just looking at a chart and feeling it out. Right. So I think that price action might have a lot of people voting for it when they don't really know what price action is. You know what I mean? I could be wrong, but that's probably a large part of why it's so popular. But man, I mean, look at it. A lot of people say that chart patterns and shoulders work. A lot of people believe in Fibonacci numbers. Fibonacci numbers are complete nonsense. There's some people. I tell you what, there's definitely something to it, like that. The market tends to move in cycles and waves that have to do with fibs, but you can't make money from it. Mm-mm-mm. Oh, why is it taking so long to read? We're out of requests. That's why.
Gary Rich says people just suffering Munchausen syndrome.
There you go. Let's see. So I'll just read these ones out myself. I don't think we're gonna take another trade. There's Sunday Driver going on about that the subject that we're intentionally avoiding. Haven't met too many people who think that. A lot of funny Christians do, since it conflicts with their myth beliefs. Julie Fear is very enjoying her last summer. She is 9 years old now and a bit confused, so Mika Fair has taken over the role of Alpha. And she's very proud of it. Oh, that's cool. I've met a lot of funny Christians, not just ones who think that specifically. Oh, you're talking about the women in the... Man, why do you always want to talk about that? I tell you what. I've given my opinion on that one to all of those of you that are chatting right now. So I don't think there's really a point in going into that one again. What do you do when they pass away? Well, you bury them and have a funeral. Duh. I'm getting microaggression from those not applying technical analysis. Where's my crying closet? I mean, here's my thing. We're going back. Here's the case that I think I'm trying to make to you guys, and I think it's going well. And I think that I'm making a good case, and I know that this sounds crazy, but I think that we can create a revolution in retail trading. I really do. I know that sounds like really egotistical of me and everything like that, but here I can see something very clear. Something that I know for a fact matters. And almost nobody in the retail space is incorporating it. And why not? It's probably the most important thing they could possibly be doing is understanding the market, knowing what news is driving things, knowing how to interpret news and how to decipher between, all of this PR and everything and what is the truth. And they ignore it. And I think that really it comes down to understanding the market and the system that we're trading in. And technical analysis can be a part of it. But you got to realize that it is not predictive. It's not. The technicals don't cause it to move. It just explains how it's oscillating. What causes it to move? News. Changing expectations about the future is what actually causes things to move. And I think I can prove it. Well, I mean, I think that the argument has been going pretty well so far. And I think that this survey is gonna, I don't think I've seen a survey like this where we really go down into this very specific strategies that you're using. And if we get enough people to answer it, I think you're gonna get some really clear, oh, okay, this is the most popular thing. If the majority of traders lose, maybe I shouldn't be trading the most popular thing. I'm not sure I will do another animal when my last two are gone. I love having animals around and will miss that kind of energy, but maybe I will wait a while and see. Oh, yeah. I have a dog that's getting pretty old. And I think I'm going to have to get another dog to keep Sadie, the younger one, company. But at the same time, I kind of just don't want to. I kind of want to get rid of more of the animals. I definitely don't want to replace the rabbit. Ugh. Okay, so here's something that I very much adamantly disagree with. Their involvement has replaced family relationships with the government. That is not the fault of women. That is not the fault of women. That is the fault of people just being stupid. If anything, that is the fault of men. That is the Playboy and that whole cultural revolution that kind of happened around the 60s and 70s, and it hasn't been good for the family, and it's been bad for society as a whole, I think. If you give those animals a home, you are giving some creatures a great life. Yeah, I was reading this thing that some animals, like especially dogs, they'll get something where they believe that they've found the jackpot, And so they'll start behaving a certain way. And so you kind of have to not. So like one thing is with dogs is when you come home to not give them a ton of attention right away, because then they're more likely to misbehave. And you have to show them that they have to earn your attention. Women marry man, hoping to change man. Man marry woman, hoping women won't change. Both are wrong. The bad thing is nobody will believe you until you show a 5-year track record of being profitable. The best way to teach a method that is completely subjective and blame. Oh, the best way is to teach a method that is completely subjective and blame the student. True. In the world of technical analysis. See, that's the thing, is that we're trading something that there's no fundamental reason why past action has to meet future action. And in fact, we know that it often doesn't. We know that certain technical things that we find in the market change over time, right? So in the world of technical analysis, you've kind of got this thing where it's like, here's what it's done in the past. Maybe it will continue in the future. And so anybody that's using a course like that, they're always caught in this limbo of, does it not work anymore, or is it me? And what we teach them is we teach that, you should always look inward. If you're not doing well, then you should look at, what am I doing wrong? And so we always blame ourselves. That would be the sort of personality attribute that we would attribute to a good trader. And it is. If you are the kind of person that when you're having problems, you say, well, what could I have done to avoid that? You're going to be more successful in trading. But if you're trading off of something that doesn't matter at all, then it ultimately is harmful to you, because it's preventing you from going where the problem is, which is that your strategy just doesn't work. And educators take advantage of this in people and use it to blame people. And some of the worst abusers of this, they will do, personal mentoring sessions where you get on the phone and call, and these people will berate you, because the more that they can berate you and the more that you take it, the more likely you are to continue to think that, the problem is me and not the strategy. And so you continue to pay. But if we're trading off of something that we know for a fact matters, okay, then the situation is completely different, isn't it? I know for a fact that if the United States launched a nuclear missile at China right now, that the market would sell off. Okay. Does anybody disagree with that? News moves markets. Fact. Undisputable fact, in my opinion. Sometimes we might misinterpret how the market is going to react to news, but we know for a fact that changing expectations about the future moves markets. Why don't you make that the basis of your trading? If that's the basis of your trading, the whole picture changes. The whole picture changes, right? Can't fundamentals be subjective at times? Sure, it can. That's why you got to look at it as well, how much does this actually matter? Sure, but sometimes bad news is good news. The thing is that when fundamentals are subjective at best, those are the places where there could be the best opportunities for you. Because you can sit down if you really know what you're doing. And that is, you really understand the markets and what moves your particular market in specifically. Then you can sit down and you can say, okay, the market is going to be unsure about this, because I know what most people know about this sort of a thing. But I know that it really matters. So you can trade that it really matters, that because you have an edge over the market then at that point. And you know that you have an edge because you have information that other people don't, right? Then the perspective is completely different. It's not a question of, does it work anymore, or which strategy and am I doing it wrong or anything like that.
You should be able to look back at what you did in a specific situation and objectively see how you performed in that situation. You know? Dunning-Kruger or the Forer effect Sunday driver. Someone slipped something in Seth's bag this morning. Well, we were talking about it earlier about the whole following thing. Because that's a different way. Those are my two arguments. Okay. Argument number one is, hey, look, changing expectations about the future really is what moves markets. So the most significant driver of markets. But number two thing is just explaining to people what is the fallacy with the majority of trading is based on following other people. Of course, not all strategies are momentum, right? Some strategies are counter-cyclical, right? Or sorry, mean reverting, which means that you wait for the crowd to do something and then fade the crowd. And I see a lot of people in our Discord doing that sort of a thing as well. But whether it continues to move in a direction or not has nothing to do with what the crowd had to do. It has everything to do with how the particular news and information and what is happening in the markets right now is going to change people's future expectations. If this move up and this piece of news coming out changes a lot of people's expectations and there's more people out there to trade it, then it's going to continue. And if it's not, then it's going to reverse. Or if the market is wrong about something, then it's going to reverse. Right? And now all of a sudden it's like, well, whether or not it's going to continue or not, it's based on the fundamentals. Then that means that any kind of pattern that it's made up until this point doesn't really matter, does it? But that's my other way of kind of presenting it. So I've got like 2 or 3 videos that I think I can make here that I think would get people's attention and would help them trade better. Trump news moves markets. 100%. Yep. 100%. It does. That was one of the things that's funny about this market is that everybody complains about Donald Trump tweeting screwing up their trades. When really Donald Trump tweeting has created a lot of opportunity. If you can trade his Twitter right, it's hard because the robots do all sorts of crazy stuff. But I've made some money off of that. Pretty sure I've made more money than I've lost off of Donald Trump tweeting. The thing that killed me was the freaking was I was trading the news about Brexit. Ugh, that was the one that killed me. And why wouldn't it? Because I don't understand the European markets all that well right now. And, there was a lot of positioning around there that I didn't understand, and they took advantage of it to my detriment. Elon Musk tweets created a dip buy opportunity at like 700. Oh, yeah, that one was funny. Then he tweets red shorts, and everyone stressed that it went up so high. Most often he causes overreaction, so the aftermath is easy to trade. Yeah, that's probably true too. Because you can look at what did Donald Trump tweet or what did this guy tweet and what are the actual real fundamentals that matter and compare them. And then you can go in and you can say, hey, guess what? The majority of these people are just trading it because it's going down. And they don't know. They don't realize that what's happening here doesn't really matter. So let's just wait for them to all get in and we can watch the DOM and see the positioning. And then as soon as they're all in, buy it and capitalize on them all getting stopped out. It's cool. That the Tesla took a little bit of a dive there on that last move down in the E-mini. It's starting to look like they're going to make another run, and we'll see how far they get, huh? Game planet gents were the family of kings and queens around the time of the War of the Roses. Game of Thrones is loosely based on their history. Oh. Make a beach on the lake. 13 likes today. Thank you guys very much. Yeah, about 10 minutes. Now I'll come back here and look at the VIX. How much did it come back? Looks like we still end up higher on the week in the VIX. It could be close, but like if they really bought up to 32, 38, which it doesn't look like they can make it, but our community is a Windham resort. We have 5 golf courses, a marina, stables, and lakes up the kazoo. It's lovely here and does feel like a permanent vacation. Wow. They want to close the month profitable, so they're pushing. This isn't the last of the month, though, right? There's still another week. There's definitely going to be some options messing around in here, though. I'm wondering if in Tesla in particular, if there's going to be a sell into the close as one side starts to dominate the other and they try and push it as far as they can to make their money on the options. Because when I was looking at Wall Street bets and people were like, but the earnings beat expectations. Why are they down today? And I still saw people saying, well, I think that they'll make a recovery tomorrow. Okay. These are people who had like puts at 2,000. Or sorry, people who had calls at 2,000. Can you believe that? Oh, man. Company barely profitable. Amazon basically, yeah, the Amazon one has been interesting too. Well, this whole thing has been driven because FANG stocks has been the only thing pushing this market up. When the FANG stocks get hit, they just get decimated, right? I think the kids are going over to Dad's house today. Hmm. 32.12, huh? It's funny that we'd been at 32.50 all week and that finally gave that up. I think that when you look at the, what do we call this again? Gamma. When you look at the gamma for the short side peaks around 3,050, which is really far away. Have a great weekend. TA does work. You just well, I think that TA is an important tool that you should use. I just don't think that you should use it exclusively. I think that there's a lot. Like, here's where I think technical analysis in particular is a very important tool. Is say you make a trade and you say, okay, here's a piece of news or a piece of fundamentals, and here's the time that it came out. And then afterwards, when you're doing your review, you're going to go back and you're going to look at it. What time did it come out? And how did the market behave after that? And after the fact, you can use the technical analysis and especially your analysis of the volume to determine how it moved. And so how are you going to improve your trading if you don't have a way to review what the market did? So you do need to have technical analysis, if only for the fact that it helps you learn about what the market is doing by watching what it did after the fact. But it can help you position yourself in the short term too, because the market does oscillate, and technical analysis can tell us things like, are we getting a good price? Is the move that we're seeing unusual? But it's not predictive. It is not, because news will overwhelm anything that you're seeing in the technicals. And that's why the win rate on it ends up being not very favorable. Unless you use like a really wide stop, and then there's issues with that. Trying to get to 20 likes. I don't know if we're going to get to 20 likes. We got 20 viewers right now, and I think that most of you guys hit the button. But I appreciate it, guys, for trying. Yeah, I think we well, we were hitting more like 30 a while ago, but I probably pissed off a few people with the politics, which is fine. I should do, I don't know. Maybe, do you think that I should have spent more time on the political channel? Because I did the one political channel and I didn't get very many views on it. And I was like, well. And the political videos don't seem to help this channel. I think I would have to put a lot of effort into it to get anywhere with it. I don't know if it would be worth it. But I've got an idea of where I want to take the channel next. And so hopefully you can get all of that before September comes, because then September is going to be crazy. And there's going to be a lot of news. So, Try being libertarian in Canada. Right. No, like the funny thing about Canadians is that they seem moderate, but they're very much lean liberal. You have been underselling hidden liquidity. You shouldn't do a video of what happened. You should do a video of what happened today at 19.5 in ZN. So here's the thing, Octavius, is that I think it was Smash the Bid that told us be careful about 19.5. I don't know how he knew that. He has a really effective edge that he's told us about, and he was giving us a tip there. And I have no clue how he predicted that there was going to be stuff at that price. But what I've been doing is I've been looking at positioning. So yeah, if you see buyers absorb a lot on a whole move up here, that says something about how difficult it will be to push back, and whether they're going to defend, and where their line is and where these guys' line is, for sure. That one though was a little bit more about just that it wasn't just the hidden liquidity. I mean, the thing that clued me off on that one was that the liquidity was doing the wrong thing. Like if we had good new home sales, this should sell. Overall, good new home sales is negative for treasuries. Now, it might not matter as much as other things, so that doesn't mean that they have to go down. But generally speaking, it's bad for treasuries. So why would all of a sudden the bid start pumping up? And then you started seeing a little bit of iceberging at 19.5. It was pretty obvious at that point what was happening if you understood the fundamentals. So it was really more understanding the fundamentals and then seeing that the level 2 was not doing what it was supposed to. We could make a video about that. I don't know. Any channel takes time to build an audience. That's true. And that's kind of the thing, is that would it really be worth my time to make a political channel? Because first of all, you're going to make a lot of predictions that are going to be wrong. And then, you're going to build up a certain following. And is that really the super politically charged crowd really what I want to spend all my time with? And would you actually get paid enough to justify the amount of effort that you'd put into it? And that's where I'm not so sure. And I kind of thought that I could use this channel as a springboard, but it seems to me like making a new channel, there's You have to be quite a bit bigger to use it as a springboard like that. And then, yeah, YouTube could come in, ban you, or, you say the wrong thing and all of a sudden you're shadow banned. Yeah, that can happen. And things definitely happen. Like we had a couple of downvotes on that video one day. My understanding is that makes that video less likely to be suggested to that person or group of people, but that it increases the engagement. So probably what's happening is that the people that channel's being recommended to is flipping a little bit, but it's not changing the other videos. It's kind of weird. Say I like Trump. Well, I'll be voting for Donald Trump. I can say that. Political channels get banned a lot. The future of YouTube is cat and makeup channels. Well, I don't. So here's the thing: is that my political channel, I don't think that YouTube would ban it, because my political channel would be focused on stats and facts. So much of what they talk about on YouTube is, oh, hey, here's this theory about this thing, and here's some of the circumstantial evidence that we have about it. And I'm like, here's why none of that matters, because it doesn't prove anything, So I think YouTube would actually like me in that respect. Man, this just reminds me of my Facebook is so flooded by conspiracy theory stuff right now. It's just like, can we just have one day where we're not talking about conspiracy theories, please? And it's not the Donald Trump supporters. That's the other thing. My Facebook is very liberal. It is totally liberals going on the conspiracy theories. It's funny. Well, it is 9:30, guys. It's time for me to get going. But good video. Oh, we're 1 like short of 20 likes. Wow. We'll get it. Because here's the thing. Here's the thing. Is that I can come in here and I can cheat. I can come in and I can cheat. Oh, hold on. There's an ad. See, here's myself. Hi, Seth. Huh? There you go, right? Oh, I like it. Somebody beat me to it. Who was number 20? Thank you, guys. Oh, that's funny. Oh, it was a good day. We had some good conversation too, didn't we? So I'm glad you guys are all enjoying the channel. I will hopefully have a video. I don't know. I've got a lot of work to do. We got to finish the chicken coop. But hopefully we'll be able to record a video this weekend. But either way, I will be here on Monday. And in the meantime, stay profitable, friends.